another video of Reflection with PCUA. The topic for this video is poverty. Poverty is a state of one who lacks a usual or socially acceptable amount of money or material possessions. Poverty is said to exist when people lack the means to satisfy their basic needs. In this context, the identification of poor people first requires a determination of what constitutes basic needs. These may be defined as narrowly as those necessary for survival or as broadly as those reflecting the prevailing standard of living in the community. The first criterion will cover only those people near the borderline of starvation or death from exposure. The second will stand to people whose nutrition, housing, and clothing, though adequate to preserve life, do not measure up to those of the population as a whole. The problem of definition is further compounded by the non-economic connotations that the word poverty has acquired. Poverty has been associated, for example, with poor health, low levels of education or skills, an inability or an unwillingness to work, high rates of disruptive or disorderly behavior, and improvidence. While these attributes have often been found to exist with poverty, their inclusion in a definition of poverty will tend to obscure the relation between them and the inability to provide for one's basic needs. Whatever definition one uses, authorities and laypersons alike commonly assume that the effects of poverty are harmful to both individuals and society. Although poverty is a phenomenon as old as human history, its significance has changed over time. Under traditional, non-industrialized modes of economic production, widespread poverty had been accepted as inevitable. The total output of goods and services, even if equally distributed, would still have been insufficient to give the entire population a comfortable standard of living by prevailing standards. With the economic productivity that resulted from industrialization, however, this is to be the case, especially in the world's most industrialized countries, where national outputs were sufficient to raise the entire population to a comfortable level if the necessary redistribution could be arranged without adversely affecting output. Several types of poverty may be distinguished depending on such factors as time or duration, long or short term or cyclical, and distribution, widespread, concentrated, or individual. Cyclical poverty refers to poverty that may be widespread throughout a population, but the occurrence itself is of limited duration. In non-industrial societies, present and past, this sort of inability to provide for one's basic needs rests mainly upon temporary food shortages caused by natural phenomena or poor agricultural planning. In contrast to cyclical poverty, which is temporary, widespread or collective poverty involves a relative permanent insufficiency of means to secure basic needs, a condition that may be so general as to describe the average level of life in a society or that may be concentrated in relatively large groups in an otherwise prosperous society. Both generalized and concentrated collective poverty may be transmitted from generation to generation, parents passing their poverty on to their children. While global poverty rates have been cut by more than half since 2000, 1 in 10 people in developing regions still lives on less than 1.9 United States dollars a day, the internationally agreed poverty line, and millions of others live on slightly more than this daily amount. Poverty entails more than the lack of income and productive resources to ensure sustainable livelihoods. Its manifestations include hunger and malnutrition, limited access to education and other basic services, social discrimination and exclusion, as well as a lack of participation in decision making. In 2015, more than 736 million people lived below the international poverty line. There are 122 women aged 25 to 34 living in poverty for every 100 men of the same age group. With this I finish this video. I hope you guys found the information useful. So I guess I'll see you next time.